What's going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV, back with another live stream, and today we'll be talking about the latest Arsenal transfer news as Declan Rice gets close to a record transfer move to Arsenal, close to £100 million. We'll be talking about Stan Kroenke, who was lifting more trophies last night. Will he ever be lifting trophies inside the Emirates Stadium? Everywhere else you see him, you know, their success, will we ever get that at Arsenal? And Nicolas Pepe, who's currently our record transfer, on his way out. And will we get any money for him whatsoever? There are a lot of rumours that we may actually be paying him to leave the club. Few other bits and bobs as well. And big up to everyone who came on the member stream last night. Spoke really well. End of season review. So big up to everyone who came on to there. Really enjoyed that. Yeah, I have to start today's show. Obviously, I'm a Nottingham boy. And Nottingham was under attack in the early hours of this morning. Some sort of terrorism attack. I think 3 people were killed, another 3 critical in hospital. Terrible news on the news, man. So, yeah, man, I've just got to say, thoughts go out to anyone affected by that. And obviously a sad day for the city of Nottingham. Hopefully, it brings them together. But sad news there, that is for sure. Are you going to Wu-Tang and Nas tonight? No, I'm not going there, man. I'm not going. I've seen Nas in concert before. I actually never seen Wu-Tang in concert. Cello said, big up, big CNC unit. Prayers for Knots. Big up, bro. New kit, Hippocrat. Yeah, Hippocrat indeed. As I say, man, listen. I'm on Kroenke's neck every day. You know I'm always. But this shirt, as I say all the time, when you see this shirt in person, listen, I'm honest when it comes to the shirts, right? We've had some bad shirts over the past few years, yeah, but this shirt is a winner. It's an absolute winner, I can't lie. It's just a shame that the gold isn't a representation of us winning the title. It's last season, it's because of the Invincibles why they put that on, but the new kit's a banger, I can't lie, people. Best one since the night days. It's definitely up there. One of the best home kits in a long time. Get Kylian Mbappe to the carpet, yo, I'm telling you, if only, man, but it's never going to happen with the Kroenkes, is it? Peace out to Nottingham, recipes, thoughts go out to all my fellow Knots people, 100%. No, I didn't get the players version. When I went into the store, they only had the replica one. They didn't have the players one, but it is what it is, man. It's expensive enough as it is, man. Would you ever stop buying merch? Do you know what? If I felt it was going to have an impact, I would. Because some people go, oh, that's a bit hypocritical. You want the owners out, but you buy the shirt. Well, listen, man, it's got to be strength in numbers. If we come together and say, right, this is it, it's the end of these, then I would stop buying the merch. But until that happens, it ain't making no big difference. There's still 60,000 fans at every home game. They sell out every shirt. They sell out every game on tour. Me buying or not buying a shirt isn't going to make a lot of difference. But yeah, if I felt it was going to have an impact, then yeah, I'll be on what them Man United fans want. We'll break into the stadium and swing from the crossbar if we have to. Big up Erlu said, big up Big C in the community. Thoughts going out to the Knots, man. I was there over the weekend for Aces tournament with my UA, man. Big up, bro. Glad you got in and out of there safely, man. Jake said, Kurtz, I've been watching the NBA. Denver Nuggets were so good and Stan Kroenke talked. We're going to speak about him. We're going to speak about him because I told you I'm not letting this guy off. He needs to get his hand in his pocket and do something. And do something serious. So anyway, let's get into today's show. Make sure you like the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. We will be talking about the Kroenkes today. But you know what? I'll start with the crazy story of the day, and it's not really Arsenal related, but a little bit of light-hearted Photoshop. I didn't Photoshop this, by the way, but we obviously heard the news last night. Kylian Mbappe has informed PSG that he will not be extending his contract beyond 2024, which means effectively he has a year left on his contract. PSG have announced this morning that they are prepared to sell Mbappe for 150 million euros. I mean, listen, this is a picture of him in an Arsenal kit. Arsene Wenger was actually in his house trying to get him to sign for Arsenal when he was at Monaco. and he wasn't able to convince him. He didn't want to leave France at the time. Another one that we nearly signed Ronaldo and Zlatan and Yaya and Mbappe. The list goes on and on and on. But Kylian Mbappe, he's on his way to Real Madrid, let's be honest. Probably good news, really, for Tottenham, because it seemed as if Madrid were going to make a move for Kane with Benzema going. I think now all focus will be on Mbappe. And for me, listen, for 150 million euros, this is an absolute bargain. You're talking about, in my opinion, the best player in the world. I think he's the best on the planet. We know that Messi and Ronaldo have been above him, but I'm talking about the level he's at now. When you look at the World Cup, he had the hat-trick in the final. 150 million euros for the best player on the planet. It's around 130 million pounds. So incredible deal. He'll be on his way to Real Madrid. That PSG project is probably done and dusted. Messi's gone, Mbappe's gone, and Neymar, even Neymar's being linked with moves abroad as well, so, or out of PSG. So yeah, it looks as if Kylian Mbappe is on his way out. If only, you know, the frustrating thing is, and I know I'm beating the same drum here, but as Arsenal fans, what frustrates me, and I know I say this every day and we talk about the owners and blah, 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 but when you think that we moved to the Emirates so that we can compete when top players come on the market. That was the reason that they said we were going to the Emirates, was so that if this ever happened and a player of that quality was available, we would at least be in the race. Mbappe's available, we could do with a striker, and there's absolutely no way on earth that we can even consider making a move for him. That is the frustrating thing, you know. But hey, it is what it is. Let's move on. It's not going to happen, but yeah, start with a little bit of light transfer speculation. And Mbappe to Arsenal was actually trending on Twitter last night. That shows you the power of social media. Not that he would ever come here, and not that Arteta would ever want to handle or manage a player like him. I don't think he would be able to deal with that personality. But can you imagine, like Sakin said here, can you imagine a front three of Mbappe, Saka and Gabriel Martinelli? It would be unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Ashton, I'm going to the Armoury tomorrow. You're going to be in the area? No, I won't be there tomorrow, unfortunately, bro. I'm trying to stay out of that shop if I can. Anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about Arsenal, and let's talk about potential signings. You can all see the headline of this show, and that is regarding man like Declan Rice. This deal is getting closer and closer. How close? I don't know, actually, but very close. Let's give you a little bit of insight and a little bit of background regarding the information that we have so far. So Jacob Steinberg tweeted last night, put out a story in The Guardian. Arsenal are closing in on a deal for Declan Rice and are expected to pay over £100 million for the West Ham midfielder if add-ons are achieved. Over £100 million for Declan Rice. Wow. Wow. And when you put it in perspective, Rudy, you know, Kylian Mbappe, £128 million, Declan Rice, £100 million. Eros, English tax is real. If ever you needed to see English tax, this is English tax. Now, McLovin said £100 million for some carbs. Yo, I'm telling you, where I'm at with this one, we're overpaying massively. Right, I'm not going to cap. I'm not going to sit here and say that I think Declan Rice is a world beater or that I think he's worth that kind of money. He's not. He's not worth 100 million. In my opinion, honestly, I think Declan Rice probably worth half, maybe a little bit more. Okay, Phillips cost about 50. You know, he's done more than him. 60, 65 million probably in the modern game with the fact he's an England international. 60, 65 70 at a push. 100 million is outrageous. But as I've said time and time again, the manager wants him, so get him. Do I think Declan Rice is worth 100 million? No chance. Do I want Arsenal to buy him for 100 million? Buy him. It's not my money. I'm not pocket watching when it comes to this. I'm pocket watching when it comes to the manager not getting the players that he wants. Then I am pocket watching. because we pump money into this football club. So why should they not pump money back out? Why should I stay up till 3 in the morning watching NBA playoffs, watching Stan Kroenke lift a trophy with a player that's on the most expensive NBA contract in the history of the game, $275 million contract? We need midfielders, pay the 100 million. I'm not interested in how much it is. Pay it. Now, just to give you a little bit of perspective, because, you know, a lot of these ITKs, and you take it, you go, oh, does this guy really know what he's talking about? Jacob Steinberg is one of the best journalists when it comes to West Ham. Just to give you some context, he wrote Mark Noble's autobiography. He wrote Mark Noble's autobiography. He is the link of West Ham. Like Ornstein is Arsenal. He is the link of West Ham. Right, he is the link. Now, reading the report, it's believed that the deal will be £92 million with a further £10 million in add-ons that will add up to £102 million for Declan Rice. I want to know your thoughts. Let me know in the comments. I'm going to put a poll up. Why not? How do you feel about Arsenal spending £102 million on Declan Rice? It's an incredible amount of money, especially for Arsenal. We don't often go anywhere near those kind of figures. So I'm almost shell-shocked that we are. Do you know what I always say when it comes to these transfers? If Manchester City were paying 100 million for Declan Rice, I'd be like, that's a bit pricey, but I'd be like, well, they're more interested in the player. When you're rich, right, when you're financially rich, they don't care about the price. They're not bothered. They've got the money. They're paying for the product, for the player. They're not bothered. We're shocked because we're like, oh my God, it's Arsenal. We don't usually spend them kind of figures. And at the end of the day, where I'm not going to be a hypocrite is I was criticising the club when they didn't break the bank for Caicedo, when they didn't break the bank for Mudryk, when they didn't break the bank for Luis Suarez and all these other players over the years. So what I'm not going to do is complain if they're spending big money on a player that the manager wants. I don't think he's worth it. Simple as that. But who cares? The majority of the players that get booked. Jack Grealish isn't worth 100 million. Jack Grealish is 28 years of age. I don't think Jack Grealish is worth 100 million. He's just had an unbelievable season in terms of what he's achieved. But when you look at Jack Grealish, he's nearly 28 and he scored 5 goals this season in the Premier League for Manchester City. 5 league goals. And they paid 100 million. Do you think Pep Guardiola cares about that 100 million? He doesn't care. Anthony, like you said, at Man United, they paid 100 million euros for him. And I think he's had an absolute stinky season at Man United. I think Anthony's awful. Honestly, I think he's an awful player. So, Ross said his calves are 100 million alone. Yeah, and he drinks about 100 million worth. You see how much the brother's been drinking? So, for me, do I think he's worth it? No. The manager wants him. Pay it. Pay it, pay it, pay it. I don't care. Pay 100 million for Rice. Go and pay 80, 90 million for Caicedo. Spend the damn money. Spend it. I can see the reasons why they want Declan Rice. They're buying him because of his character. What you've got to understand is when Declan Rice joins Arsenal, Granit Xhaka will leave Arsenal. I think that's what the waiting game is, right? He will go once he comes in. Whatever we think about Granit Xhaka, the player, which listen, I've never been the biggest fan of him. He has had a good season this year. Granit Xhaka is a character. He's a leader in that dressing room. Whether he's the right leader or not, that's a different story. But he is a leader, right? And we need character. Declan Rice is the West Ham captain. He could probably come in and be the Arsenal captain. He could be the future England captain as well. 24 years of age, plays game, doesn't get injured often. Played 37 games this season out of 38 in the Premier League. Year before, 36 out of 38. Year before, 32. The year before that, he played all 38 games. Never been sent off in the Premier League since he's been in the West Ham first team. Discipline. Plays every week. He's a leader. Starting to improve. Starting to score more goals. you can see why they want him, and I can see why they want him. And listen, I like the fact that there is rumours that he's rejected Manchester United, he's rejected Bayern Munich, he very much wants Arsenal, he's convinced by the project. For me, Declan Rice becomes the Arsenal captain eventually. Whether you do it in the first year, probably not, because that's a little bit much taking it straight off Odegaard. But I think he becomes the Arsenal captain moving forward. I don't think he's worth 100 million, but the manager wants him. So I'm happy that they're spending that kind of money and showing that kind of ambition. Like I said, and I'm very much aware of this. Maybe I'm stuck in my old ways that, for me, when you spent that kind of money on a player, you had to sign a world beater. That's kind of my mentality, that when I hear 100 million, I'm like, okay, for 100 million, you should be like world class. But the reality is now, you're not signing world-class players for 100 million. Antony's not world-class. Grealish ain't world-class. You look at Ousmane Dembele at Barcelona, he's got unbelievable talent. Has he justified 130 million? You look at Philippe Coutinho, he was unbelievable at Liverpool. Went to Barca for huge money, ended up at Aston Villa for 20 million. So, listen, it's the going rate. Yesterday's price is not today's price, people. Yesterday's price is not today's price. Fat Joe voice. If you know, you know. So players now that are worth 50, 60 mil, they're going for 100 mil. It's the reality of the situation. So for me, I'm happy with this signing. I want this deal to get announced quickly for the simple fact, get him signed and then move on. Get him in, celebrate it, move on from it. We need bigger, we need better, we need other areas of the team as well. They need to be addressed. Let me see what you're saying in the comments. Let me know, people. South London's Finest said, we have to start swimming with the sharks if we want to win. Is he worth it? No. But if we had better scouting, maybe we could have gotten him as a youth. And that's a great point. The reality of the situation is, if you can't find bargains out there and get them early and get them cheaper, you've got to go and start swimming with the big teams. And that means overpaying for players. That means beating big teams to the signature of players. And that's how we've got to move. You're right. No one escapes inflation. He's a 24-year-old captain. And in England, he starts for England in the middle of midfield. You're paying 70 million just off that basis already. Football has changed. We are moving with the times. If we get this deal done, which from everything that I'm reading, and I'm sure a lot of you are seeing it as well, this is the way the game is going. I used to always be critical of Arsene Wenger because I said he hasn't moved. He's an analog manager in a digital world. He hasn't understood that you can't find Patrick Vieira for 2 million on the bench for AC Milan or Thierry Henry for 12 million playing left wing for Juventus. You're very rarely going to do that. And people say, okay, well, Brighton are finding these players, but their expectation levels are different. We're demanding of success right now, so we can't go and buy Caicedo and these unknowns. We need big boys now. This is an absolute banger. Gunnar SQ, yesterday's Rice is not today's Rice. Ain't that the truth? It's true. It's true. Absolutely spot on. If we get this deal done, it's believed he'll be on about 200 grand a week. I applaud it. I applaud the deal. What Arsenal need to do now is get a little bit savvy with player sales. Go and make some of this money back by selling a few players and reducing the outlay of the deal. I think this deal will happen in the next week or so. I've got to be honest. I don't often commit to saying that I think deals will happen because you look stupid if it doesn't happen. Everything I'm reading, everything I've heard, little whispers here and there as well, people are saying that behind the scenes, Rice is very much telling people, I'm going to Arsenal. You know, Bayern Munich came in, they've disappeared real quick because he doesn't want to go to Germany. Manchester United could outbid us and get him. But it's, you know, he's saying he wants to go to Arsenal. He wants to stay in London. He's friends with Saka and Ramsdale and these boys, Ben White. He wants to play for the Arsenal. So there's no excuses. Get the deal done and let's celebrate it and move on. I'm personally happy with it. Overpriced, but it's a player that improves us. And we've seen over the last 3 years, we cannot rely on Thomas Partey for a 38-game season. He breaks down like an old school, you know, Ford Escort with a dodgy engine. Great until March, then disappeared. So get him in. He can play 6. He can play 8. He's scoring more goals. He's box to box. This, for me, is a fantastic signing if we get it done. Time for Mbappe to rise up to his destiny as the 14 regen. Stanley, you just won one last night, released the budget. Listen, unfortunately, we're not in a position. Even if we offered the money, Mbappe's rejected. We know that, you know, his dream is Madrid. He's going to Madrid. He's putting out statements. He's going to be a Madrid player, replace Benzema. But I wish we could. Ricky said, be thankful to EA FIFA to see Mbappe at Arsenal. That's the only way we'll see him at Arsenal if we're playing FIFA. That's for sure. Imagine if we get Real Madrid in the group. Ricky said we paid 72 million for Pepe in 2019, so Rice 100 million 2023 is fair. Our opinions don't, but the market dictates the price. Pay to get Plan A targets. You're absolutely spot on. You're spot on there. Pepe was 4 years ago, and let's be honest, Pepe's reputation wasn't even that big. He'd had one good year in the French league. Zaha was seen as the better winger in the Ivory Coast team. So, yeah, I think you're right. I have to move with the times. 100 million for Rice is probably the going rate. Red Smoke said, big up Curtis, loved the show. Let's be honest, Deck's not worth 100 bag, but it's a player that's only going to get better. Salty rivals will be jealous. I hear you on that. He's a player that if I saw him going to Man City, I'd probably be saying, we could have done with him at Arsenal. You know, the kind of player that he is. He's a character. He brings physical presence as well. So we'll have to see with that. But I think this is going to happen. Big up Red Smoke. Sniper said, with rumoured 200 million we can spend and player sales, get Rice Caicedo, stick a cheeky bid for Mbappe. Could you imagine the football world? Listen, I'd be outside the armoury with a lorry. I'd just clear it all out. Just tap the card. Give me everything. If Mbappe signed for us. Can you imagine if a player of that level came to us? But we can only dream, eh? Monty said, could be 100 million Jamaican dollars. Hey, I'd be a better price. 'Tis the English tax, Curtis E. Ross, don't tell you. I am telling you, man. Big up Elliot. It's the English tax. I just see a thing there from a West Ham fan. I want to go back and find that comment. Harji said, big up bro, Curtis, how are you? Arsenal diehard fans from Chennai, India. We must sign Caicedo. Gundogan too. Love you all, our fans. Big up, man. We're worldwide people. We're one of the biggest clubs in the world. Don't let anyone tell you any different, man. We're massive out here. We need to start acting like it. That's the thing. Tsunami said, I want Caicedo to join as well. Just imagine that midfield. As I always say, man, you buy cheap, you buy twice. We've all been there. You know, you buy a little cheap T-shirt instead of the expensive one. Put it in the wash a few times. Buy 2 centre mids of that quality. You don't need a centre mid for years. Caicedo, Rice, Partey. Okay, you might need one in a couple of years when Partey is in his early 50s. 30s. But yeah. Spend 160 million on them two. You might not need a midfielder for a while. So for me, get Declan Rice in and then go for Caicedo. We need 2 centre mid. So why are we, you know, even if we buy Rice for 100 million, and I will applaud the club for spending that kind of money, we need 2 centre midfielders. So go and buy 2 centre mids. I think what Arsenal will do, I'm being totally honest, I think they'll buy Rice. If they go for another midfielder, I think it will be a cheaper midfielder. I'll be shocked if they buy Caicedo and Rice. I genuinely will. Forget Arsenal therapy. I'll be doing a celebration stream if we got them to it. Because I will give flowers when they're needed. So, you know, it is what it is. East London said, as a West Ham fan, I'm gutted if he leaves us. Love the geezer. Wouldn't mind him going to Arsenal, though he deserves to play in the Champions League. Listen, the reality is, it's the harsh reality of football, but we all know that there's a food chain in football. It's just the reality, innit? We've been on the receiving end of that food chain at times, you know, watching big players like Cesc Fabregas and players like that walk out the door. So we've been in that position where our top players are leaving. Now we seem to be getting in the position where we're becoming the shark again. You know, not finding Nemo and people picking us off. We're becoming the shark. We're maybe not the Man City shark, but we're becoming a shark again. Start picking off clubs. When they've got big boy players, start picking them off. So great news. The job's not done by Caicedo. 100%. I'm not just even though it's a huge deal and great money that's being spent, I'm not going to sit here and just say, well, that's great, we got Declan Rice. We need 2 centre mids. And like Truth Seeker's saying here, look at the way Caicedo played at right back against Arsenal. He was the best player on the pitch, playing out of position. So if I'm Mikel Arteta, I'm looking at that going, okay, get Declan Rice. You get Caicedo. There's your midfield sorted, but Caicedo can also play at left back. Right back, sorry. So you've got Ben White, you've got Caicedo, you've got Tomiyasu, you've got unbelievable options. I personally, though, think that Arsenal are going to make an offer for Caicedo. I'm just not sure whether we're going to get him. Because now Chelsea are a little bit desperate. Because Kante's gone when they weren't expecting him to leave. Nobody could foresee that the Saudi offer was going to come. And also, you know, Kovacic is going to go Man City as well. Loftus-Cheek's being linked with Milan. That's 3 centre midfielders out of Chelsea. I think they're just going to throw money around again this summer. And I don't think Caicedo is... I think he's willing to go where the money is. And if Chelsea throw the money, then they'll do that. Chelsea have financial fair play issues, but they're very good at balancing it. You know, they'll get 20 million for Loftus-Cheek. They'll get 20, 30 million for Kovacic. There's other players there that they can sell. Maybe Ziyech, maybe, Aubameyang, Pulisic. A lot of players they'll get rid of. So they'll make money. Big up my bro Akeem in the chat. I just clicked on your comment and never read it. Bring Ben Jacobs. Ben Jacobs is on the show tomorrow at 2 p.m. 2 p.m. tomorrow, Ben Jacobs. So we'll get it firsthand from him. The latest transfer news. I know he has a lot of good information through his Twitter account. So 2 p.m. tomorrow, Ben Jacobs will be quizzing him on all things Arsenal and transfer news. Don't forget, the transfer window officially opens tomorrow. So officially, players can be announced and signed for their club tomorrow. And then on Thursday, we'll be doing a show as the Premier League fixtures are announced. See who we get in the first few games of the season. We've been talking about Rice since February. Get the deal done, move on to Caicedo before Chelsea get the funds. That is definitely something that we need to learn. I think sometimes our moves are too public and they're too drawn out. You know, if you've wanted Declan Rice, why have you been putting it out there since January? I think they did it to calm down the fan base because we didn't get Caicedo. But also, you're encouraging other people to sign them. And I think that's the wrong thing to do. I think you look at Liverpool, when they get linked with a player, it's like link, couple days, done deal. The guy's holding up the shirt. That's how I want us to do our transfer business. Move in silence, you know, and then announce them. Akeem said, I got a funny feeling we'll get Caicedo too, get Gundogan on a free as well. There is a rumour, again, I don't know how true this is, that Gundogan is going to announce in the next 24 hours where he's going. PSG, Barcelona, Arsenal, Saudi Arabia, and Man City new contract. So those are his options. It's going to be very difficult to convince him. But yeah, we should be making an offer for him. He's a top player. Sniper Scope. Oh, we read that one. Could you imagine if we got Mbappe? Yeah, big up to you, bro. Young Gunner said, if Edu was better with transfers, he could have used the 88 million Bellingham price as leverage to get Rice for less. He's not better than Bellingham. I think the problem you've got, Young Gunner, is even though Bellingham, people are referencing this 88 million pounds, apparently there's around 30 million pound in add-ons, so it's going to be closer to 120 million by the time that deal is done. You've got to remember as well that Dortmund are a club that does this, so they produce a player and sell them. And coming out of the Bundesliga, they're probably not going to get the same money sometimes for players that Premier League clubs who are much more financially stable. So I get what you're saying, but I think it's very difficult. You know, maybe we're going to pay more up front than Madrid will for Bellingham, but Bellingham will cost more than Declan Rice over the course of his contract. His wage will be higher as well. Big up Teba Ryu. Thank you for becoming a member, bro. Make sure you get yourself in the next member stream that we do. I'll keep you informed of that. Big up to you, bro. Samuel said, I foresee Curtis doing a shameless Grealish victory parade celebration when we clinch the league. Clip this, Russ. Listen, if we win the league, mate, I was already planning. I said, listen, I'm leaving the house with the passport and my wallet, and I'll be back when I'm back if we'd have won the league. I could have been anywhere in the world right now if we'd won the league. I'd still be celebrating, but it is what it is, man. Let's hope we have that Let's hope we have that issue next year. Gunnarola said, fact that rival fans and pundits are salty makes the Rice fee much more bearable for me. Caicedo up next if Brighton don't snake us with a Colwill swap deal. And that's the problem. He's just got in the England squad. They offered 30 million for him. Chelsea rejected. Apparently Brighton are going to offer 40 million. It's a no-brainer that Chelsea just say, you take Levi Colwill for maybe 40. They drop maybe 40, 50 million cash on top of it. That's where the problem is. It seems like a clear route for Chelsea to get the deal done. But this is where Arsenal are going to have to prove themselves. Whatever Chelsea offer, go and match it if you're serious about getting him and getting the two of them in. James O'Connor said, Big C, would you take Rice, Caicedo and Milinkovic-Savic? I would. I don't think Arsenal will buy 3 centre midfielders in one window, but you get rid of Xhaka, you get rid of Jorginho, and you get rid of El Neni. And you bring Rice, Caicedo, Milinkovic-Savic, and you've got Partey. But I think two will be the most. I don't see us buying 3. Big C, how do I become a member? I will get a link and pin it in the chat. It should be next to the subscribe button for you to join, but sometimes it doesn't show up. Let's end this poll. £100 million for Declan Rice and Peas. Yes or no? 73% of you say yes. 27% say no. I'm definitely in the yes category. Not from the sense of do I think he's worth it. Just purely to get the very best out of this manager. And it's something that I said yesterday on the members stream. And Latte was saying it as well. This is the first year that I've sort of more looked at the owner and Edu more than the manager. I actually think this year that Mikel Arteta was let down by the football club. And I haven't said that often. In the majority of other years, I've blamed the manager. I've said, no, it's his fault. It's on him. This is the first season where I've said the club let the manager down, in my opinion. 100%. That manager got to January and got us in a position where the title was in front of us if the club decided to act like a big club. And they decided to get squad players through the door rather than game changers. He wanted Mudryk, he wanted Caicedo. You didn't get him any of them. I think if you get Caicedo in January and maybe you get Trossard and a centre-back, we probably win the title. But you didn't. So, yeah, tactically towards the end of the season, there was some things that I could call out Arteta. Playing Saka constantly, playing Kivior at left-back. Those things definitely, you know, playing Rob Holding, he deserves some blame for that. But for sure, he was let down in January by the football club. They need to give him his number 1 players, see how he does with them. And then we can really make a complete judgment of the manager. So there's no excuse anymore. Money, like you said, money should not be an option. Listen, it's business. And I know that the Kroenkes are not just going to throw unlimited cash at the football club. But when that guy wants to win, Stan Kroenke, he's proved that he can win. You know, he needs to start treating Arsenal correctly, and we need to start demanding it from him and putting pressure on them. We're not going to accept Jorginho. We're not going to buy into the PR that, oh, he was a Ballon d'Or nominee 5 years ago. I don't care. I'm not interested in that. Give me a Ballon d'Or nominee from the last year or two, not from 5 years ago. So that's how we got to operate, how we got to move. I'm just going to put a link in the chat if anyone wants, because people are asking about becoming a member. And saying they can't see a link, so I'll just put that in the chat for you, and then we'll move on to the next story, people. So yeah, Declan Rice, listen, I'm hoping that this deal gets tied up relatively quickly, because we don't want it to drag. What we want to do is get the deal done and move on quick. Window opens officially tomorrow. Get Declan Rice in this week. He's on international duty at the moment with England, but you can still get deals done while they're away with England anyway, so get it done and get him through the door. And I want to see him on tour in America. We will be there no matter what, people. I've pinned it in the chat if you want to become a member. Let's get into a few of your comments. Big C, I believe the league is delighted of what Arsenal represents at this moment. A good team with a strong English core. I think that's very true. You look at this England team at the moment, you've got Ramsdale, who will be thinking he can put pressure on Jordan Pickford. You've got Ben White, who's done really well. You've got Saka, who is fantastic for England. So you've got 3 key players there, and other English players are coming through as well. So I was thinking of our other English players then. I was like, Rob Holding, Eddie Nketiah, or Reece Nelson. Yeah, I better not mention. But yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, you're right. We're bringing through a good little English core of players as well. Interesting that Kylian Mbappe has put out a statement saying that he's happy at PSG and intends to stay next season. Probably wants to see out his contract and go on a free to Madrid, which would get him even more money. Big up Rock for becoming a member. Big up to you, bro. Appreciate you joining the community as a member. Big up Jorge, who's become a member as well. Big up to you, Jorge De La Rosa. Big up. MJ said, only Caicedo you're getting is one of his 9 siblings. You're not wrong. It wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Wasim said, Big C, have you seen the add-ons winning the Prem and UEFA Champions League? We're safe. West Ham won't be getting that 10 million. Do you know what? You're absolutely... Do you know when I saw that? My comedic sort of side of me, I was like, oh, 92 million over 2 years and 10 million if we win the Prem or the Champions League. I was like, yeah, West Ham, you ain't getting that money for the foreseeable future. You might want to just write that one off. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, but listen, let's hope we do have to pay it. But yeah, you're bang on. Big up man like Chappie in the chat. Don't worry, Chappie, despite the fact, you know, Championship, we're still accepting of you in the comments, man. Maybe you can do us a favour. He said, don't worry, my man. Castagne will offer plenty of depth. Not a consistent player, but decent enough to help the depth. Now, keep him, bro. I ain't interested in Castagne. He sounds like a lasagna for dinner. I don't rate him. I don't want him. I hope that's paper talk. There's a couple players at Leicester I'd maybe take. You know, obviously Maddison and that, but... Nah, man, I don't want Castagne. But big up Chappie, man. Hopefully you lot come straight back up in terms of Leicester, man. I think Leicester, it's a real shame that they got relegated. I got to be honest, Premier League winners. But yeah, Chappie, you can keep that lasagna to yourself, bro. I don't want Timothy Lasagna at right back for Arsenal. Big up Kugler Pete, who's become a new member as well. Big up to you. Really appreciate that. Ricky said Caicedo stayed back and helped Brighton get Europe. I don't think Brighton will stop him from joining Arsenal for 10, 15 million less than Chelsea. See, the problem you've got is Brighton are a club that their whole model is built on finding a bargain, developing and selling for the highest price. They're not here to catch feelings. Brighton ain't got no feelings for us. Brighton are not going to turn around and go, oh, okay, well, Chelsea have offered 85 million and Arsenal have offered 70, so we'll sell him to Arsenal because they're nice and they treated us good in January. They don't care. They're going to sell to the highest bidder. That's the reality of the situation. That's their model. They built a training ground off it. They got a new stadium out of it. They're getting in Europe because of it. Money talks, unfortunately, people. I know they said we're friends with Brighton, but I don't think they would accept 10 or 15 million less to let him go to Arsenal. And that guy's got 10 siblings. He wants cash. He'll go to Chelsea for more wages than Arsenal as well, if that happens. So we're going to have to match whatever they offer if we want him. Football friends. Ooh, football friends. We're friends with Brighton. We ain't seen no friendship yet. I haven't seen no friendship from Brighton yet. What have Brighton done for us? You know, we walked away from Caicedo so then man could get Europe. Now they're trying to make an auction to sell him to the highest bidder. We're being friend zoned. They ain't even got sand on their beach, Monty, like you said. There's no sand on their beach. Yet they're trying to friend zone Arsenal and shot him to Chelsea. It's all wrong. It's all wrong, people. Anyway, let's move on. We don't want no lasagna at right back. That's for sure. No Timothy Lasagna at right back. Anyway, Declan Rice soon land, people. I'm hoping that we get that deal done this week. Because I just want us to move on. I don't want it to become a soap opera of the summer. And I'm talking about Declan Rice every day. Get him in, announce him, and move on from it. L.A. Hold fire. We're definitely speaking about the Kroenkes in this. There's no way they're going to survive a show with me not talking about them when they've just won the NBA. Do you think we'll survive in UEFA Champions League Pot 2, Big C? Big up Black. You know what? Pot 2 can look very different. It depends who's in Pot 1. If you get Porto in Pot 1, all right, cool, we're moving. If you get Real Madrid in Pot 1 and they just signed Mbappe, you've got a big problem on your hands. And Pot 3's got some decent teams in it as well. So it depends. You could end up with Real Madrid and AC Milan in your group. Then you've got a problem. You know, it depends. It really does depend. And if we strengthen properly as well, make sure that we can handle it. You know, a lot of, as I keep saying with Arsenal, a lot of it is down to us. People said we lost the league because of Man City. A lot of it was down to us. It was because we weren't strong enough. We ran out of steam. We weren't mentally strong enough to get over the finish line. Man City played us twice in the Premier League. We don't play them 30 times. We lost the league because we lost to Forest, because we drew with Southampton, because we lost to Brighton. You know, there were the games because we drew with West Ham and drew with Liverpool after being 2-0 up. If you win 3 or 4 of them, we win the Premier League no matter what Man City did to us. So that's where we're at. That's where we're at, people. My UEFA Champions League prediction, Europa League final, pin it. I mean, can you imagine that? Can you imagine all them years in the Europa League, we finish third in the Champions League and end up back? I think we'll get through the group. I do. I'm going to back us. Champions League watch-alongs. Wow. Bodo Glimt and them teams there. Dundalk we've been playing. We're about to play Madrid and them. It's going to be crazy. Anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about a player that is on his way out at Arsenal, and it's been announced today, and that is man like Nicolas Pepe. It's over for man like Pete. There was actually a rumour last night, again, social media going crazy, that Pepe may have been returning to Arsenal, and could he have had a future at the football club? Nice announced yesterday that Pepe had finished his loan at the club and that he would not be signing for them on a permanent deal. He scored 8 goals in all competition, played 28 games for them. They have decided not to take up a permanent move for him due to his high wages. He earns £130,000 a week, which is big money in the French league, especially if you're talking about a team outside of PSG, maybe Marseille. Nicolas Pepe is no longer part of Mikel Arteta's plans. The player has just 1 year left on his current contract, and although Arsenal are keen on gaining a fee for him, plans have been made for the termination of his contract if required. And today, he's being linked with a move to Saudi Arabia. Moneybag Saudi have come calling for Nicolas Pepe, and listen, one thing's for sure, if he ends up in Saudi, you should be getting a transfer fee for him. They have got unbelievable money. Even if you're getting 5-10 million for him, it's better than him going for nothing. You've got to be honest, and I'm going to be totally honest. And I don't like doing this to Arsenal players because I actually don't think Pepe was that bad. But bearing in mind that we're talking about terminating his contract and paying him to leave, this has got to go down as one of the worst transfers that we've ever done, to be honest. Not because of his ability, because, you know, Mustafi at 35 million was a 10 times worse deal because he was a shambolic footballer. Pepe was not a terrible footballer. He just wasn't a £72 million player. If we'd paid 30 million for him, he would have been satisfactory. He actually put up decent numbers the first couple of seasons. He just never set the Premier League on fire. He never had that sort of intensity. Tended to slow the game down too much. I think his game was probably more built for maybe Serie A or La Liga. Didn't seem to have that intensity of the Premier League, which is a shame. I don't actually think he's a terrible footballer. I just don't think he's worth the 72 million that we paid for him. And his career looks as if it may go downhill. You would have thought he could have still gone to a bigger club. And yeah, remember when he went past Van Dijk at Anfield and the excitement and the celebration? It was sad. Like John says, man, the French league is very much smoke and mirrors. You know, for every Kylian Mbappe that you get out of there, you know, you get a Nicolas Pepe or a Lacazette who didn't really do what he did in France in the Prem. So it's a difficult one. I do agree a little bit. I think at times he was mismanaged because I do think he was. You could see that him and Arteta never clicked. And he's put in some fantastic performances, you know, like the FA Cup semi-final against Man City was brilliant, but I don't think he has the hunger, the determination to be a top player, to be a top footballer. You have to be starving to be there. When you watch Salah play, I see a player that's desperate to score goals. He lives and breathes scoring goals. You can see it with Mbappe. You see it with these guys, man. It doesn't matter how rich they are, how big they are, they're desperate. Pepe looks too laid back. Looks too laid back. He's got the money. Maybe that was enough for him. Not every player that plays football loves football. You know, I know a lot of footballers that say, I play it because I'm good at it, not because I love it. So listen, he's on his way out. I think it would be very disappointing if he goes for free. You know, I would like to see Edu get something for him. You know, get 10 million for him, surely. But the fact they're talking about paying him off is disappointing. But his time is up. He's got a year left. I think they will either loan him out or pay him up. I don't think clubs will be queuing up to buy him, unfortunately. Southland has finally said his own dad questioned his mentality, and that tells you everything. That tells you everything about him. Burkowski said, I'll never put a player in an Arsenal shirt again. I got Pepe when he signed. Biggest regret? Yeah, I've stopped printing players' names on my shirt. I was going to get Thierry Henry 14 on the back of this shirt because I had a free printout available, but I thought, you know what? Let's just go with no one. Too complacent, says Kiros. Lefty said, well said, Curtis. Otsile said, damn shame on that Pepe. Had high hopes for him. Pepe played like it was a testimonial, said Moet. Did it in France. Lacazette still winning golden boots in Liga. Yeah, I think he finished 1 goal behind Mbappe, which says a lot. Guna Dad said, Josh and Stan last night. Can't stand them. Sad, innit? It is sad. But we're going to talk about him in great detail, don't you worry. And highly wanted criminal said he was a goalkeeper for a reason. Sebastian said, hey, Big C, great to catch a live stream. Get the likes up. 2,700. I didn't even notice that in the chat. Only 427 likes. You've got to be hitting 1,000 likes, people. Don't do me dirty. Just caress it. Just give it a little, you know, just scratch it. Just give it, no, don't scratch it because I don't want you to scratch your phone or your laptop, but just give it a little tap. Take you 2 seconds. And we move on, people. Alexander, if we had finished the season strong, just missed out to City, would you view this season as significantly better? Listen, in football, even though I'm critical of Arsenal, I am also realistic of what we are, where we are, and what we should be doing. If we'd push Man City to the end, beat them West Ham, beat them Southampton, they had to go last game of the season to win it, and they won all them games and they won it. Sometimes in life, no matter how much you want something, you have to hold your hands up and say, we weren't good enough to win it. That's the reality of the situation. Also, if they'd been more ambitious in January on top of that, right? Sometimes you have to hold your hands up. Everyone who's dealt with Man City this year has had to hold their hands up and say, they're just too good. Everyone's had to do that. Even Real Madrid, they made Real Madrid look like some mid-table Premier League team. They had to walk out of there and say they're too good. What for me was disappointing is that January we didn't go for it enough, and we dropped points against teams that we should have beaten. I think the feeling, despite the fact that we finished second in the league, which is the best year we've had since the year that Leicester won the title, as an Arsenal fan, it felt very flat. It felt, you know, it got to the point where I was getting bantered by like Man United fans and Chelsea fans. Chelsea are finishing 12th, and Chelsea fans are joking, saying, oh, you lot bottled it. You should have won the league, you bottled it, and laughing. I'm like, raw. We finished 10 places above these lot, and they're bantering me. Because the reality of the situation is, when Chelsea are good, they've won the league and won the Champions League in the last 5 years, 7 years. They've won. When they're good, they win major trophies. When Liverpool are good, they've won the Champions League. They've won the Premier League. They won the domestic cup double. When City are good, they've won the Champions League. They've won the league. We've been very good this season, and we've come out empty-handed. That's the disappointing thing. And I think Elliot Roberts said it a few weeks ago or a few days ago. We've made progress, and we have to cling to that. But we haven't had a successful season, because success would have been winning a trophy. If we'd finished second and won the Europa League, I could have saw that as a very good season, because we haven't won a European trophy for 30 years. I just think to play that well and to be top for that long, to not have a trophy at the end of it is extremely disappointing. I almost think we made it easier for Manchester City by being top. I think it was hard for us in the end to be chased. I think sometimes it's easier to be the chaser rather than the one being chased. I think in the end, we just felt that pressure of hearing the footsteps of Man City chasing us. And, you know, we pulled a hamstring with a month to go and fell over, you know. So, but listen, last season's done. We've spoken about it numerous times. You know my opinion. We have to look forward now, sign players, and try and build a team that is not going to capitulate. Because let me tell you, this will be Mikel Arteta's most difficult season since he's been manager. Because he's never had to be in a European competition where you cannot rotate. You can't go on a Thursday night to Dundalk this year, make 8 changes and win 4-0. You're going to be playing Real Madrid on Wednesday. You might then have Chelsea at Stamford Bridge on Sunday and then AC Milan the following Wednesday. You can't make 7 changes. You've got to go full strength Wednesday, full strength Sunday, full strength the next week. That is going to be a different test of Mikel Arteta. So we have to be prepared. And to be prepared means that this man is going to have to put money in his pocket for Arsenal. Because I don't know about anybody else, but these pictures that are on your screen right now, if you're looking, if you're listening in, it's Stanley Kroenke holding up the Super Bowl, holding up the NBA playoffs after the Nuggets beat the Heat 4-1. I'm sick of seeing these things on my timeline. You know, it's like having 3 or 4 brothers and, you know, the dad treats the others different. You know, different mum, same dad, but the dad treats the other kids different. He's taking them to Disney World, but you ain't seen him for 6 months. That's how we feel right now. We feel like the neglected child by Stan. Stan's taking, you know, LA Rams on holiday. He's taking out the Nuggets and we're just getting, you know, a birthday card. There's no money in it or nothing. Just happy birthday. We're being mistreated right now because this guy has got the money. Yeah, no, I think, yeah, we're like a teenager who just found out that our dad's not a real dad. We've been adopted. We've done a DNA test. He ain't even our real dad. You know what I mean? That's how they're moving. This guy's lifting. The thing what does me in, this guy is actively there. He's watching games. He's high-fiving. He's lifting up trophies with the players. Progressively improving. Pumping money into this. He wants it. Everything. It's Jeremy Kyle settings. DNA test results show, Stan, you are not the father. Oh! And everyone's going mad. They're having a fight on the stage. Because you realise he ain't even the dad. Listen, all jokes aside though, what I will keep banging, and I say this all the time, right? I say this all the time. If I need to be the bad guy at times on Twitter, because on Twitter, you know me, I just drop grenades on there at times. It's necessary. If I have to be the bad guy sometimes, even though I believe the message is correct and I'm doing it for the right reason, but some of Twitter don't get it, I'll be the bad guy. I won't let this guy get away with it. If he spends big this summer, I'll fall back. Say, you know what? He's treating us like the Nuggets, like the LA Rams. But if he doesn't, you're going to see more grenades on Twitter because I ain't accepting it. This guy is not broke. I don't want to hear people say, oh, yeah, since this guy's been the, 100% owner, he's invested more. No. Spending £120 million ain't getting you ahead of Manchester City in a transfer window. We signed 5 players last year for 120 million. They're buying 1 player for 100. So that ain't getting you past them. This guy gave Jokic £275 million contract. Most expensive contract in NBA history. People can't tell me this guy ain't got the money. So people can't tell me, oh, we can't buy Declan Rice and Caicedo. We can't afford it. It's too much money. Financial fair play. No, bun that. Bun all of that talk. Put that talk away. If he wants to, he can do it. If he doesn't do it, it's because he doesn't want to, because he doesn't care, because we're the side piece. Yeah? People need to understand what this guy is and how rich he is. He made 2 billion last year. 2 billion. We need 250, 300 million of that to give us a chance next season. We need 2 centre mids. Caicedo wants to come to Arsenal. Rice wants to come to Arsenal. Them two put our midfield on another level. Go and buy both of them. I'm not asking you to buy Mbappe because Mbappe ain't coming to Arsenal, even if you pay the money, unfortunately, because of the position we're in. He needs to spend money. Otherwise, we need to understand he's the enemy, not the solution. He's the problem. But we'll see. We'll see. The proof's in the pudding. Let's see what he does this summer. Now, let's go through some of these stats. We knew this anyway, but I just want to bring it up. LA Rams win the Super Bowl, February 2022. Colorado Mammoth, his lacrosse team, won the League Cup in June 2022. Colorado Avalanche, they had not won the Stanley Cup since 2001. Even longer than we have not won the Premier League. Stan turns up, puts money in, 2022 June, Stanley Cup winners. Denver Nuggets, no NBA championship in their history, none. Never won it. Never won the NBA championships ever. I've never even really been interested in the Denver Nuggets, and I'm quite a big NBA fan. Denver Nuggets, I ain't interested in that. Denver Nuggets winning the NBA championship, bullying man, 4-1 winners in the final, ripping up the Miami Heat to bits. Buckets Butler couldn't do anything. You know why? Because Stan invested. So what I want to ask the question, when's it our turn, people? Because this looking like an all-you-can-eat restaurant right now. Everyone's plate looks full. But I'm out here starving as an Arsenal fan. I'm getting crumbs off the plate. Oh, here, mate, have a little Fabio for 30 million. Never heard of him, but there you go. See what you can do with him. Here, mate, have Cedric on a free. See what you can do with that. These man got man on $275 million contracts. Biggest in NBA history. Never won the NBA championship. Yeah, we'll probably win the Emirates Cup. You're spot on. We'll win that. Guess what? He won't be there. You know what I mean? He won't be there. He ain't going to be there to see us. Yeah, but he won't be there, bro. He's got bigger priorities. So, listen, I know I'm banging this drum about the Kroenkes at the moment. They're getting daily smoke from me at the moment. I need to see some action because this guy's winning everywhere, but Arsenal are the only thing that ain't winning in his catalogue. I think the Colorado Rapids, which is his MLS team, are the other team that are not winning. So he doesn't clearly have much interest in football. He doesn't have a lot of interest. I was seeing a story that Josh Kroenke played basketball at quite a high level. So clearly he's interested in that sport a lot more. Football is probably secondary to him. Like I said, we're collateral damage. But I will keep banging the drum. Like Eros says, keep banging the hell out of it. But I will give him this summer to prove himself. Because we haven't been in this position since he's been 100% owner. If he doesn't invest big time from this position, forget it, write it off, end it. End it. It's protest season if he doesn't. It has to be. Otherwise, we're never getting there. Never, ever. If he doesn't go for it, it shows that he's just happy to get top four and get the money in. You know, he's taken over a club in the NBA that have never won the championship, ever. And because of investment, because of ambition, they've won it. And won it comfortably, by the way, as well. And, I'm a LeBron fan. But what the Nuggets are doing is wild. They ran away with it. So let's see. Time will tell on that one, people. Big up Playboy Carty for becoming a member. Big up, big up, big up. Gunnar Roller said they're getting Disney World. We're getting Fort Park on discounted rainy days. You know when you could get the 2-for-1 vouchers in England on the cereal box? So you buy some Rice Krispies or Cocoa Pops. They have a little voucher. You cut it out. 2 for the price of 1. That's what we're getting. In the middle of, November when it's raining and half the rides are closed. Them man are getting Disney World in the summer. 2 weeks all inclusive in Orlando. It's crazy. We need proper treatment here, people. Scott said you can't be on KSC's next by just talking, by merch. Listen, it starts with conversation, though. And I get it. And people throw that at me. Oh, you want KSC out, but you're buying the shirt. Listen, if I don't buy the shirt, they still ain't going nowhere. It has to be a collective movement. And there has to be an understanding within the fan base that, okay, maybe they are the problem. Like I said, I'm going to talk about them a lot this summer. But I'm prepared to give them this summer to prove that they've changed. If they don't, then you'll see. It starts with talking, but then we'll see what happens. We've got to try and do something. But big up Scott, big up Steppers, who said they used to say Stan's teams never won anything. They are winning now. So clearly, Stan is a more than capable owner. If he wasn't winning elsewhere, I could say, do you know what? It's not that he doesn't care about Arsenal. It's just he doesn't know how to win. But clearly he's proving, I do know how to win. It's just I'm not interested in winning with you lot. That's what we're getting at the moment. Big up Rummage Around, who said, hey Curtis, first time here but loving the view so far. But appreciate that. Big up to you for tuning in. Big up the people who've been here from day one, or if this is your first day. Community settings, we'll break it down. Honest conversations. How we can move forward is what we're here for. Big C, keep the smoke. Trust me, they are listening. They do. Listen, I know for a fact that Arsenal have a media team that tune in and watch YouTube channels. They go on Twitter. You even heard Josh that time when he said, when the Super League thing happened, he was scrolling down on socials. They've clearly got burner accounts. He's not listed as Josh Kroenke on there. So they watch, they listen, which is why I fall out with a lot of people on Twitter who've got big accounts, because I say, you do realise that you have the ability to put pressure on the club because you've got hundreds of thousands of followers. And when they see that you're celebrating Jorginho signing rather than calling it what it is and saying that's underwhelming and that's not going to win us the league, they go, oh, yeah, that big account celebrating it. This count saying Ballon d'Or nominee. We've got away with it. We don't need to spend big money. And that's the reality. The club will do what they can get away with. You put pressure on them, things will change. Make no mistake about it. The only reason that Arsene Wenger left Arsenal was because of the fan base. The club were more than willing to let him continue, get in top four, winning nothing, not spending money, right, or the big money, and ticking over. The only reason that Arsene Wenger... And let's get one thing clear. Arsene Wenger was sacked. That's not what it said on paper, but they pushed him out of the door. They said, quit so we don't have to sack you because we don't want to embarrass you because you're a legend. Why did they do that? Last game of the season, 15 to 20,000 empty seats. Toxic protests outside the stadium. Fans were literally fighting with each other outside the stadium, right? The atmosphere in the Emirates was horrible and the team was suffering. And the Kroenkes would have sat there and gone, hang on a minute, there's 20,000 empty seats. That means I'm losing money. Once the money gets affected, rich people start to change. Same thing I said with the racism of the players. Taking a knee, putting your fist in the air, ain't going to do anything. That's a token. Walk off the pitch, damage the product, do it in a big Champions League game. Then they've got to give money back to the fans. Then they've got to give money back to the TV production. And then you will see action. Same thing that the fans will have to do. As I said, if he takes action this summer, we'll have a different conversation. I'll hold my hands up and say, maybe he does want to win. But we'll see. We'll see what he does. Big up James Taylor with the super sticker. Appreciate that, bro. Why always me said it's soccer, Curtis, not football. Listen, I don't mind if they call it soccer, football, whatever they want to call it. Just make sure there's plenty of money in the back pocket. And we can spend it, we need money to spend. That's what we need. They'll get away with what fans allow, says Ricky. 100%. Look at Man United last season. And listen, I have loads of banter with Man United fans and blah, blah, blah. But trust me when I say I respect what they did last year. What they did last year, I looked at that and I thought, wow, that is unbelievable. Them man got a game called off. Liverpool against Man United, Super Sunday, 4:30 kickoff. They got the game called off. They turned out in their thousands. They had 1,000 people outside the hotel. They blocked the coach. They said, you ain't getting out the car park. You ain't going nowhere. Red smoke everywhere. Then they broke into the stadium. They had a link there. Security guard left a door open. Broke into the stadium. Their man was swinging off the crossbar, having a kickabout on the pitch. Serious. That's serious action. If you want to get change, They could potentially, like how, everything is saying now, they could get Qatar ownership. Possibly. So we'll see. We'll see. Listen, at the moment, I think it's a time for calmness. I know I'm consistently calling out the ownership because I want to apply whatever little tiny bit of pressure I can apply and let people know that it's down to them. People say, oh, but it's not their fault, Edu. It's not their fault, Arteta. But ultimately, they hired Edu. They hired Arteta. They hire Vinay. If you own a multi-billion-pound business, part of your role as owner is to hire the right people to control that business. The reason Liverpool have had so much success, despite not spending what Man City have spent, is because what money they spend, Michael Edwards, more often than not, hits the jackpot. He gets some wrong, but, Alisson and Van Dijk and Wijnaldum and Robertson, these signings, Fabinho, they all worked. That's why they won trophies. On top of that, they put a world-class manager in there, in Jurgen Klopp, who gets the best out of them. And so we need to make sure the right people are in place. This is a huge summer for Edu, for the Kroenkes, and a huge season for Mikel Arteta. A lot of people have been saying it, but the apprenticeship's done. I know Kev said this the other day. Elliot said this on the member stream. Apprenticeship's finished. No more phases. No more progress. No more youngest team. I don't know about anybody else. I don't want to hear youngest team mentioned in an interview anymore. You chose that, so don't complain about it, right? You didn't have to sign all the youngsters. You chose to sign young players, right? So you can't then make an excuse for it. I don't want to hear about youngest team. I don't want to hear phase 3, 4, 755. I don't want to hear about trust the process. The process is finished. You've had 4 seasons at one of the biggest clubs in the world. Now we have to see end product. What have you done now? How good are you? What can you go and win? Can you go and compete with Man City again? Can you win the FA Cup? Can you get to a Champions League final? And people might go, you're crazy. They can't get to a Champions League final. They're not good enough. That Inter Milan team that just got to a Champions League final are nothing special. They got Edin Dzeko up front. He's 37 years of age. He looked like an old man. He couldn't move. They're nothing special. They grind their way through the group. They got a little bit of luck with the draw. Porto, Benfica, AC Milan. All very winnable teams. I want to see serious progress. We're not Crystal Palace. We're not Brentford. It should not take 7-8 years to see end product, to see big trophies being won. He's been here for 4 seasons. He's spent $500 million. I expect to see more than what I've been seeing. I want to see trophies. I want to see serious competition. I want to see big players signed at the football club. So let's see. We'll see what they do this summer. It looks as if Declan Rice is on his way. £100 million. I applaud that. I'm not one of these people that, because I'm critical, if they do something right, I'm going to, oh no, I can't praise them because I criticise them. If they sign Declan Rice this week, I will applaud that deal. £100 million. It's a player that you want, and I think it's a good signing. As I said, I don't think he's worth £100 million, but I'd rather sign him than not sign him. He's better than a lot of the midfielders that we've got. So get him through the door, then go for Caicedo, then go for a right winger or a right back or a striker. Whatever you need, go and get it done. Give this manager what he needs, then there's no excuses. We can't sit here for 6 or 7 years waiting for a process to explode. He's had enough time now. We got to start lifting trophies. This is Arsenal. We're a massive club. No excuses for Arteta next season. I'm not hearing it. He needs to stop copying Pep, have his own ideas. Yeah, I understand that he's the blueprint, but you've got to tweak it your own way. You can't outdo the master at what he does. Nobody can do what Pep's doing better than him. To stop Pep, you've got to find your own style. Liverpool, with that high press and that high intensity, that's how they stop them. When, Mourinho was at Inter Milan, he had that, low block and hit you on the counter-attack. That stopped them. You can't tiki-taka better than what Pep does. He's the master of it. So you do have to edit the style a little bit as well. Inverted Pep. Man City getting up to 300 million to spend this summer as well. So it ain't going to get easier, that's for sure. Bleck said, the Americans, it's soccer. Them sheiks call it football. Big difference, Big C. Look at Todd's first season. I mean, even though Todd has struggled, listen, as a fan, you would still applaud the ambition, I would love to see our owners spend 500 million. Arsenal is the son that gets the fries in the bag while the other gets the chicken nuggets and the burgers, says Tony. You're right, bro. And Emma, thank you for becoming a member as well. Curtis, I like the rice, but we need the peas. Caicedo with the rice. You're right. We need the rice and the peas. We need them both. Just finished watching Rocky 4. I'm telling you, man. Drago! That's my favourite Rocky film, man. Would you take Kulusevski? I would. I would. Kulusevski sounds like he doesn't want to stay at Tottenham. 35 million to get him. He's a boiled Arsenal fan. And I'd do it just to wind up Tottenham. So, yeah, I actually would. So we'll see with that. But they'll probably sign him. Elliot said Arsenal going into their 4th full year, time to show and prove. Absolutely. And Valeria said, hello, Curtis in the community. Can we all agree we are moving in the right direction? We will see what happens this summer. And we'll finish on that one. It's a positive. We're making progress. We need to do it this summer. Go big or go home. Make big signings. Get them done. Let's hope Declan Rice gets done sooner rather than later. I will be back on tomorrow, 2 p.m, joined by Ben Jacobs. We'll talk all things transfers. The transfer window opens officially tomorrow, so make sure you join me for that. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Hit the like button on your way out, and I'll see you all soon, people. Bless.